I never thought my life would change because of a canceled meeting. I work as a high school math teacher, and my schedule is usually fixed. Every Wednesday, we have staff meetings that run until 6 p.m., which means I get home around 7. My wife usually goes to her fitness center on those days, so when I get home, I make dinner while she showers. That Wednesday was different. Our principal had to leave early for a family emergency, so he canceled the meeting. It was only 3:30, and I thought I'd surprise my wife by going home early and making a nice dinner. Things hadn't been great between us lately. She'd become distant, always arguing about money and making decisions without talking to me first. I hoped a nice dinner might help us reconnect. I parked in our garage, which is set back from the house. We built it that way years ago when our kids were small, so car noises wouldn't wake them up. I walked to the house, noticing my wife's car was there. She usually takes the bus to the fitness center, so this wasn't unusual. When I entered through the back door, I saw her bag on the kitchen counter. This was strange because she never leaves it there. She always keeps it close. Her exercise clothes were scattered on the floor, which was even stranger because she's usually very neat. Then I heard noises from upstairs. As I walked up the carpeted stairs, I found men's clothes mixed with my wife's special underwear, the kind she only wore on our anniversaries. I felt sick. I had to sit down on the stairs for a moment. In all our years of marriage, I never thought this would happen to me. I took out my phone and recorded what I saw through the partially open bedroom door. I needed proof that this wasn't just a bad dream. After recording for a few minutes, I quietly left the house and walked to a nearby park. I sat there for hours, watching the video over and over, trying to make sense of what had happened. Around 7 p.m., my usual return time, I went back home. My wife noticed something was wrong right away. I must have looked terrible. She asked if I was okay, offering to give me a drink. I told her I wasn't feeling well and would sleep in the spare room. She accepted this excuse without question. For the next few days, I kept sleeping in the spare room, using illness as an excuse. Eventually, I moved back to our bedroom, but sleeping there was hard knowing what had happened. My wife acted like everything was normal. The following Wednesday, I told my principal I needed the morning off for a medical appointment. Instead, I parked a few streets away from our house and walked back. I changed into quiet shoes in the garage and waited, hidden in our garden where I could see the front door. My wife did her usual morning routine, cleaning, vacuuming, showering. Around noon, she left the front door slightly open. 30 minutes later, a man walked in. I recorded him with my phone, getting clear views of his face. Their conversation confirmed this wasn't a one-time thing. I needed to know who this man was. The next day, I went with my wife to her fitness center, saying I was thinking about joining. She tried to discourage me, making excuses about it being mostly married women who chat during workouts. I insisted. When we arrived, everyone stared at us. My wife said they weren't used to seeing her with someone. During the workout, I had to take a break because my blood sugar was low. While eating some candy, I noticed my wife kept looking nervously toward the staff area. That's when I saw the wall with staff photos. There he was, the man from my recordings, the head trainer at the fitness center. During the workout session, I saw my wife having a hurried conversation with the trainer near the staff area. She seemed worried and kept gesturing for him to leave. Soon after, there was an announcement that the final exercise session was canceled because the trainer wasn't feeling well. Many women seemed disappointed, but my wife looked relieved. On our drive home, I asked about the trainer, pretending to be interested in the workout program. My wife explained he usually leads the final session, pushing everyone to their limits. She was quick to correct his name when I got it wrong, which only confirmed my suspicions. A few days later, during after-school pickup duty, I met one of the mothers from the fitness center. Her son Tim was in his last year at our school. While waiting for his mother, Tim mentioned something interesting. His mom usually had private sessions with a trainer on Friday afternoons, often making her late for pickup. When his mother arrived, she recognized me from the fitness center. After Tim went to play with his soccer ball, she opened up to me. She was one of the trainer's former girlfriends, and he had suddenly ended things with her. She was divorced and had hoped for a real relationship with him. Finding out he was seeing someone else during their usual meeting time had crushed her. I told her I knew about his relationship with my wife. She became angry, saying he didn't care about hurting people as long as he could brag about his conquest to his friends. She offered to help me get back at him. I started planning my next steps carefully. First, I reviewed all our financial information, bills, insurance, mortgage, and retirement accounts. We had about $800,000 in retirement savings thanks to our teachers' union making contributions mandatory. We also had $30,000 saved for a vacation we planned. I knew we'd have to split everything equally in the divorce, so I needed to act fast. I started creating fake repair bills, pretending things around the house were breaking down. I'd disconnect something when my wife wasn't home, then claim I paid cash to fix it. Really, I was putting the money aside. I also bought expensive tools with cash, showed them to my wife, then returned them the next day, and kept the refund. I managed to save about $20,000 this way. I started moving my belongings to the garage, packing them in boxes. My wife rarely went there, so she didn't notice. When she asked about missing items, I'd say they were broken or I didn't need them anymore. She didn't mind since most of my things didn't match her preferred style anyway. Using some of my retirement money, I bought a small house near the school. It wasn't fancy, just 2 bedrooms and a tiny yard, but it had a garage and I could afford the payments on half my salary. I slowly moved my things there, buying secondhand furniture from thrift stores. The mother from school, let's call her Sarah, helped me create a list of women the trainer was involved with. The list was shocking. There were many names, including my wife's. Sarah was eager to help expose him. I bought surveillance equipment, cameras, and microphones. I waited until he left for work and got his spare key from under his doormat. Inside his apartment, I set up cameras that would record whenever there was movement or sound. I put cameras in the fitness center's private consultation room and in our bedroom too. The footage revealed more than I expected. The trainer was seeing different women almost every day. He'd make calls to arrange meetings, always careful about timing to avoid getting caught. One morning, I heard him call my wife. "Hey, it's me. How's my favorite girl today?" My wife told him to be careful what he says on the phone, but confirmed she'd see him at their usual time since I was at work. With Sarah's help, I put together files for each person who needed to know the truth. Each file had proof of when and where the trainer met their partner. I included his name, address, and information about the local health clinic since he wasn't being careful about protection. I wrote to the fitness center owner about her head trainer's activities. At home, I left divorce papers on the kitchen table along with photos and videos from my surveillance. Next to them, I placed my wedding ring, which I'd cut in half. I wrote a note telling my wife not to contact me except through my lawyer. I mentioned that I'd already told our children everything and sent them copies of the evidence to prevent any lies about why we were divorcing. I also wrote that I'd asked the school to ban her from the property to avoid any scenes. I moved to my new house and waited for everything to unfold. It happened faster than I expected. The fitness center had to close when the scandal broke. The trainer was found beaten up in an alley, apparently by some angry husbands, though nobody was ever charged. Divorce lawyers in town suddenly got very busy, and several houses went up for sale. When my wife found what I'd left, she fainted. Our elderly neighbor heard her scream and called an ambulance. My wife tried reaching me, but couldn't. I'd already changed my phone number and set up new accounts for everything. When she came to the school, she got arrested and spent a night in jail. After a warning from a judge, she stopped trying to contact me. Our children sided with me. They'd grown up to value honesty in their own marriages, something they clearly learned from me, not their mother. The divorce went through quickly. We sold the house, and my wife bought a smaller place in a cheap area. People in town started calling her and the other women names. She couldn't go anywhere without people whispering about her. Eventually, the shame was too much and she had to get help for depression. I kept teaching and lived quietly in my new house. My life became simpler, but at least it was honest. I didn't date much. Trust doesn't come easily after something like this. But I found peace in my daily routine and in knowing I'd stood up for myself. Sarah and I stayed friends. She understood what I'd been through, and we both learned hard lessons about trust. Sometimes we'd meet for coffee and talk about how life had changed. Our conversations helped us both heal. The fitness center building stayed empty for a long time. People said it was cursed, but really, it was just a reminder of how quickly lies can destroy lives. The trainer left town as soon as he recovered from his beating. Last I heard, he was trying to open a gym in another state. A year later, I ran into my former wife at the grocery store. She looked older, tired. She tried to apologize, but I just walked away. Some things can't be fixed with words. Our kids still visit her sometimes, but they keep me out of those conversations, and that's fine with me. Looking back, I'm not proud of every choice I made. The spying, the secret recordings, the money tricks, they changed me in ways I didn't like. But when your whole life turns out to be built on lies, sometimes you have to fight back with the tools you have. I lost my marriage, but I kept my self-respect. In the end, that's worth more than any amount of money or years of memories. I still teach math at the same school. My students sometimes ask why I live alone in such a small house. I just tell them that life is like algebra. Sometimes you have to solve for x, and the answer isn't always what you expected. They laugh, not understanding, but that's okay. Some lessons you can only learn by living through them. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.